every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Frank Homalape. Tonight, no fewer than 47 people, mostly traders, were killed, with several others sustained injuries when some group of terrorists detonated bomb at Sabangari Community Market of Damboa local government area of Borno State. Also in this program, the presidency has affirmed that the trial of persons found to have stolen public funds will begin in a matter of weeks. And the World Health Organization is convinced that Nigeria is closer to being polio-free. Outside Nigeria now, Greece has struck an agreement with creditors on the terms of a third bailout fund. Thank you for joining us tonight. We begin on a sad note. The bomb blast rocked Sabangari town in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. As no fewer than 47 people, mostly traders, were on Tuesday killed, with several others sustained injuries when some group of terrorists suspected to be suicide bombers invaded Sabangari Community Market of Damboa local government area of the state. The explosion ripped through the weekly market in the village of Sabangari, around 135 kilometers south of Borno State capital Maiduguri, during peak trading. And now, President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs to intensify effort to reunite families whose members are currently scattered in different camps for internally displaced persons. President Buhari, who expressed particular concern about the well-being of children in the camp, said that appropriate mechanisms must be put in place to ensure the proper upbringing of the children so that they don't grow up to become another national problem. The president, who spoke after receiving a briefing from the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Special Duties, Jamila Shuara, also called for a follow-up on the supervision and audit constituency project. Officials of the Ministry of the Federal Capital Territory also briefed President Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the presidential villa today. At the end of the briefing, Vice President Osinbajo asked them to explore alternative sources to boost its revenue base and reduce its dependence on the current clean resources of the federal government for the development and maintenance of infrastructure in Abuja. And now, Senate President Bukola Saraki has placed the burden of rehabilitation and reconstruction of areas devastated by insurgents in the northeast of the international community. He made this known to the visiting ambassador of South Korea, Nong Kyun-duk, and the Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, Ganashiam, who visited him separately in Abuja. He was quoted in a statement issued by his media aides as lamenting that many parts of the Northeast now lack functional hospitals, schools, and other social amenities, and specifically called on the two envoys and the countries to assist the federal government in its rehabilitation efforts whenever the insurgency is down. The Senate presidency also told his visitors that the Senate under his leadership is currently reviewing extant laws and also initiating new ones to make Nigeria an attractive investment destination. Earlier, the South Korean ambassador noted that the Senate president had already proved himself as governor of Kwara State. For his part, the India High Commission to Nigeria said his country desired improved business relationship with Nigeria, having sustained mutual understanding even before the two countries became independent. And our members of the National Peace Committee on Tuesday had a closed-door meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari in continuation of what the group described as nationwide consultation exercise. The committee, led by former head of state Salami Abubakar, seized the opportunity to urge the president to ensure that his administration follows due process in its anti-corruption war. The members, however, deny suggestion that they have been working on securing a soft landing for former President Goodluck Jonathan. Catholic Bishop of Sokoto, Bishop Matthew Kuka, spoke on behalf of the committee at the end of the meeting in the Presidential Villa, Abuja.
We now know those elections were very successful. And we've come here just to have further conversations with the president to get a bit of updates about the relevance of the Peace Committee itself and how we can help to nurture what God has given to us. It's hitting up the polity. I think even in our conversation with President Jonathan, in our conversation with the members of the parties, I don't think any Nigerian is against, is in favor of corruption or is against the president's commitment to ensuring that we turn a new page. I think what we're concerned about genuinely is process. This is a democracy. It's no longer a military regime, and that under our existing laws, everybody is innocent until he's proven guilty. So again, our commitment, as I said, is not to intimidate or to frighten anybody. The president, the former president's commitment and what he did still remains spectacular. I think that President Buhari himself and everybody else appreciates that. So our effort really is to make sure that the right thing is done.
But while the presidency has said the trial of persons found to have stolen public funds will begin in a matter of weeks, Special Advisor Media and Publicity to the President, Femi Adesina, quoted his principal as saying so while granting audience to members of the National Peace Committee led by General Salami Abubakar in the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He said in a statement that President Buhari told the committee members that Nigerians will soon know who shortchange them when they are taken before the law courts. Additional quoted the president as telling his guests that the federal government will not only ask for the return of stolen funds stashed in foreign banks, but will also ensure the trial of those who stole the funds. He added that the Buhari administration was diligently getting facts and figures on the stolen funds before proceeding with the trial of identified culprits. Buhari was said to have recalled that as petroleum minister under the then head of state Olusegun Obasanjo in the 1970s, he could not travel abroad until a memo was approved by the Federal Executive Council. He added that everybody now does what he wants without a recourse to constituted authorities. Members of the National Peace Committee who accompanied General Abubakar on the visit included Bishop Matthew Kuka, Southern of Sokoto Saad Abubakar, Cardinal John Onayekon, President of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Pastor Ayo Oriche Jafo, and Primate of the Anglican Church of Nigeria, Archbishop Nicholas Oko. And our Commonwealth Secretary General Kamalesh Sharma on Tuesday formally invited President Muhammadu Buhari to the heads of government meetings slated for Malta in November this year. He also urged the opportunity to commend Nigeria on its successful election and the consequent handover of power from incumbent president to an opposition candidate. The Commonwealth scribe spoke with State House correspondent after the meeting with President Buhari.
For the Commonwealth Head of Governments meeting, which is going to take place in Malta in November this year, and I was able to do that. I also offered my congratulations on the very impressive way in which the elections were conducted and also the democratic change of government which took place. It was a great Commonwealth moment. In the inaugural address, it is very clear the roadmap that has been created by the Honourable President moving forward has very clear elements in it for partnership, for those agencies outside who feel that the values which are expressed in that statement are those that are compatible in partnership with them.
And now the Senate has urged the National Electricity Regulatory Commission to abolish fixed charges collected by electricity companies if concerns over the economic situation in the country. It's also planned to call a public hearing on allegations of unfair practices levied against electricity distribution companies. This was on the basis of a motion by Senator Sam Egu of Ebonyi North, which received unanimous support from the Senate.
The Senate aware also that the distribution companies, since the takeoff of the operation, has been ripping off consumers through fixed charges and bulk metering across the country. The Senate notes further that the same areas in the country are still billed through the estimated billing system, which doesn't make provision for payment of only electricity that is consumed, even though bills are dished out without commensurate services being offered by the distribution companies.
Labour Congress keep asking for increase in wages. If people earn 5,000 naira a month, 18,000 naira a month, on one hand, 18,000 naira a month minimum wage. On the other hand, the federal government gives these people powers to raise electricity bill by 100%. How are the people expected to pay for it?
I would have liked this Senate to match this motion and tomorrow's motion and eventually take a very serious step to investigate the entire privatization process of the electricity sector so as to give workable advice or solution to the problem.
But I believe that a lot of malpractices have come out in this discussion, and I think that we must be able to get to the bottom of what has happened. Why is it despite the privatization, people have bought these schools, people have bought, implement some of this, still people have not benefited. And as one of our colleagues said, in passing this motion too, we must begin to also show that our motion that we can effect and see that there is a change.
Apologize for that mix up there. That story was actually meant for the Senate urging the National Electricity Regulatory Commission to abolish fee charges on the power reform. But now let's get to the Senate on the BVN now. The Senate wants the central bank and other commercial banks to carry out awareness campaigns on the importance of the biometric verification number in rural areas. Senators took this position after the deliberation on a motion by Deputy Minority Whip Senator Biodun Lujimi on the dangers posed to rural dwellers by the exercise. They expressed concern that people at the grassroots have not been carried along on a campaign they say had focused on the elite and people living in urban centers.
Taking to the doorsteps of our rural areas accordingly resolves to urge the Central Bank of Nigeria to carry out a vigorous campaign / awareness exercise in rural areas and to direct the Committee on Banking, Insurance and other financial matters when constituted to invite the CBN to explain the journey so far in the exercise and report back to the Senate. Mr. President, as in the body of the motion, it is clear that the bank verification number solution is laudable. However, when a laudable activity impacts negatively on the interests of the rural dwellers and our constituents, there is need for palliatives.
And now we're going back to do another one called BVN. And so every citizen in this country is carrying all manners of identification not linked in any way, and also, of course, we are spending so much money.
my thinking, my final take is this. I know that it's a motion that has gone through approval, that the CBN governor may be coming here. Now, if he comes, these are questions that we need to pass on to him to answer. Because as lawmakers who are here, many of us are not financial gurus. We may not be able to know, understand the real reason why the BVN is being requested.
To carry out a vigorous campaign and awareness of the exercise in rural areas and ensure that the existing deadline is met. Those in favor of this amendment say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives on Tuesday directed the Police Service Commission to look into the possibility of recruiting more police personnel, as well as review the welfare of its men and officers. The resolution came after a motion raised by Uzoma Nkem Abonta, representing Ukwaris West constituency, on the need to retrain and equip the police to maintain law and order in the country. And their contributions, other lawmakers also called for organization and acquisition of modern equipment for better service delivery. Soon to come after the break, as the Kaduna State government has named a new Accountant General. He is Umar Hassan Wazera. We'll bring you the details after this break.
Some pundits believe that as long as the political system is driven by selected few, corruption may be difficult to fight.
You should be careful about what you say.
I am not the only politician. Even if I've wronged anyone, it is time to forgive me.
Please for Arena every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. and a repeat broadcast every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water, and new TT.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
You talk to your husband that you should keep promise about what you said, and because people are watching you, you know, another election is coming.
Also, some people will stand for Yoruba land, will be strong man. We don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
You're watching CoreTV Primetime News live from our Lagos studios. If you just join us, a quick reminder of our top stories. No fewer than 47 people, mostly traders, were killed, with several others sustaining injuries at a terrorist detonate bomb at Sabangari Community Market of Dambo local government area of Borno State. The presidency has affirmed that the trial of persons found to have stolen public funds will begin in a matter of weeks. And the World Health Organization is convinced that Nigeria is closer to being polio-free. Thank you for being there. All our top stories can be found on our social media platforms, facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow at CoreTV News NG. Subscribe to our YouTube channel is youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space, then news. As part of the ongoing reorganization of its public service for greater effectiveness, the Kaduna State government has named a new Accountant General, Usman Hassan Wazere. The new appointment was contained in a statement from Samuel Arowa, the Special Assistant, Media and Publicity. The government statement described the new Accountant General as a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Accountants who previously worked with Shell Petroleum Development Company as an internal auditor. It also announced the retirement of Adamu Makadi, Permanent Secretary, Local Government, Ibrahim Balarabe Musa, Permanent Secretary, Youth, Sport and Culture, and Ishaku Shekari, Accountant General. They were directed to hand over to the most senior director in their ministries. And our Governor Simon Lalong has given 2 weeks ultimatum to all those indicted by the Transition Committee set up to study all aspects of the structure, organization and operational modalities of the preceding government to come forward and explain their roles or be ready to face the EFCC and other anti-graft agencies. Governor Lalong was speaking on Tuesday in Jos while receiving the committee's report headed by the Deputy Governor Sonny Tayodin. Well, we'll bring you the details of that report in our subsequent bulletin. The Taraba State government has marshaled out plans to reposition the civil service and block all loopholes that often lead to low internally generated revenue. Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Media and Publicity, Silvanus Giwa, told CoreTV News in Jalingo that civil service reforms are paramount. He also disclosed that Governor Darius Ishaku is keen on ensuring that all government agencies charged with responsibility of generating revenue are effective. And now the persistent denial of the death of the Oni of Ife, Obakwa De Shijuade, has spawned confusion in the ancient city of Osun State. This is coming as Oro, a Yoruba word for traditional ritual, an important rite of passage which was announced earlier to take place Wednesday, was debunked by the high chiefs, thus bringing confusions in the town. Our correspondent Rashid, who visited the community, has the rest of the story.
In the past few weeks, the news of Oni's death has been generating speculations. The recent is the announcement of Oro ritual, a part of the traditional rite that consequently announces the death of a sitting Oni through the closure of markets and restriction of movements. While the said traditional ritual have earlier been announced to take place on Wednesday, August 12, 2015, the traditional chiefs have debunked this. Meanwhile, in a quick response to earlier announcement of market closure, residents of Ife have stormed the markets in their metropolis in an apparent last-minute buying of foodstuffs.
They told us no market tomorrow. That's why we are just saying we are finished everything today. Everything today, that's why.
That don't come to school tomorrow. That want to
While confusion sets in about the Oro rituals and subsequent announcement of the death of Oni, Ife residents, especially students, say they are in the know of the ritual and set to observe it with strict adherence, though non-residents are of mixed feelings.
A lot of people are actually well informed about it, even students on campus. They already have the inclination about it. Social media has been helpful in this part. A lot of people has it on DPs, on PMs and the like, so we are prepared for it.
My wife is in hospital now, and if I haven't been is that day that we took her to the hospital, if it was that day, I mean it could have been disaster for us.
As speculations of the death of Oni and the traditional rite continues, residents of the area appear ready for any development. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ile-Ife.
Away from there now, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has recently arrested 75 suspected drug traffickers and money launderers in connection to 6 narcotic drugs weighing 455.215 kilograms between January and June 2015, estimated at street value of 2.8 billion naira. In addition, 2.5 million US dollars cash was equally recovered from the gang, comprising 62 mixed and 13 females and 62 males. The intercepted money includes 2.1 million US dollars, 6 from a Bureau de Change operator, which had been transferred to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for further investigation. The suspects were arrested from different Nigerian airlines. NDLA Commander Hamza Umaru revealed that several methods were adopted by the agency in bringing the suspect to book. According to Umaru, 22 suspects were arrested for injecting drugs 33 were caught with drugs packed inside their luggage, while 6 others were found to have packed drugs on their bodies, all in a bid to evade arrest. 39 of the suspects were caught during outward screening attempting to smuggle drugs out of the country. 7 among them were going to China, where drug trafficking attracts death penalty. 28 others were apprehended during inward screening operation, with 23 of them coming from Brazil. For the CEO of the Anti-Narcotic Agency, Amadou Gade, illicit drug proceeds are highly injurious to the economy, and Nigeria cannot afford to handle drug trafficking with kid gloves. The NDLEA boss assured Nigerians that the agency is working very hard to dismantle more drug syndicates. And now the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has revealed that the level of substandard anti-malaria drugs in Nigeria has dropped from 20% in 2012 to 3.6% in 2014. Director General of the agency, Paulo He, attributed the reduction to key strategies, including the deployment of cutting-edge technologies, as well as the World Health Organization pre-qualification of anti-malaria drugs. He spoke in Abuja at the formal presentation of the 2014 survey on the quality of anti-malaria medicine in Nigeria. And now the World Health Organization is convinced that Nigeria is closer to being polio-free, but this is on the condition that it does not record any more cases of the killer disease in the next 1 year. A WHO representatives who said this at an expert review committee meeting in Abuja wants the Nigerian authorities to step up routine immunization, especially in the northeast. And now the National Veterinary Research Institute says that new cases of bird flu have been discovered in Abia and Enugu State. Executive Director of the Institute, Dr. Mohammed Ahmed, told CoreTV News in Jos that it was the first time the flu was found in 2 eastern states. The last cases were stamped out in May after destroying more than 1.4 million birds affected only in 18 states. Now the 2 states have come down with the disease and brought the total to 20 states. He said the new cases had been traced to the purchase of birds in Ibadan at the point of lay by some poultry farmers in the 2 states. While advising farmers to be more proactive, he said the purchase of birds at the point of lay was certainly not the best because farmers would not know how the birds were raised. He therefore advised farmers to always patronize well-established farms that have massive hatcheries and were meticulous on biosecurity. And now the recent wave of development that blew on the Niger Delta region following the directive of the President Muhammadu Buhari, for a committee to be set up in a bid to create solution to the challenge of oil spillage in the land has earned the President a number of accolades. Among them is the National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, La Mohammed, who commended the President for his act of concern towards the needs of Nigerians. The APC spokesman added that the President's intervention is poised to bring respite to dwellers in the community who have long been deprived of suitable condition of living with after pollution of the farmland and source of water due to oil spillage.
The recommendations directed at the FG from this report were that 1 is to establish the Ogoniland Environmental Restoration Authority, 2, establish the Ogoniland Environmental Restoration Fund with an initial capital of US $1 billion to be contributed by the oil industry and the federal government. 3, to set up Center of Excellence for Environmental Restoration. 4, to build capacity of government agencies so they can fulfill their mandates, especially that of the Nigerian Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, and also to organize regularly public awareness campaign on population. What President Buhari has done today are the following. The President has approved actions to fast-track the implementation of the UNEP report as far as the recommendations concern the FG.
You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. We take another break. We'll be back with business, sports, and stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, trading looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. They don't put words into my mouth. Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell.
On Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody has a right in Nigeria.
Where you are the judge.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
And in business tonight, at the close of Tuesday trading section, average Nigerian interbank offer rate paid by 3.01% to settle at 19.77%, just as the call rate and the 6-month tenor waned for the second consecutive trading day to 27.67 accordingly. The 1-month and 3-month rates respectively advanced by 0.02% and 0.12%. Consequently, mixed activities permeated the money market space as open buy back rate declined by 0.83%, contrary to yesterday's performance. Yesterday's performance in the yield market across all treasury bills instrument trading marginally declined by 9 basis points. Subsequently, average treasury bills settled at 14.72%, implying a 0.19% increase from the position it closed yesterday. Meanwhile, Naira, on the other hand, weakened against the dollar as it dropped 6 basis points to close at 197 Naira, 62 kobo to a US dollars. And outside Nigeria now, Greece has struck an agreement with creditors on the terms of a third bailout, paving the way for National Parliament to vote on the deal before an August 20 payment force due to the European Central Bank. After almost 2 weeks of intensive talks, the 4 institutions representing Greece's creditors, the European Central Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the European Commission, and the European Stability Mechanism Rescue Fund agreed on measures and prior actions that will unlock some 86 billion euros in funds for Greece. The talks successfully wrapped up in the early hours of Tuesday. A finance ministry spokesman, Theodoros Mitropoulos, said in a text message. Finance Minister Ekolid Sakalotos told reporters that just 1 or 2 very small details remain in comments broadcast on Sky TV. A draft of the Memorandum of Understanding includes actions the country must pass immediately in terms of fiscal reforms and requirements before the aid can be released. In sports now. And now the African Football Governing Body has revealed that the pairing for the CAF Under-23 tournament will take place next month in Dakar. Confederation African Football will host the draw for the second edition of the African Under-23 Championship in Dakar on September 14. The draw will see representatives from 8 African countries which have qualified for the tournament gathered in the Senegalese capital to know their foes and the group stage. Stade Leopold Star Senghor, Dakar, and Stade Caroline Faye have been penciled down to host games of the competition which spans from November 28 and December 12, 2015. Nigeria's under-23 team, coached by Samson Siasia, is one of 8 teams qualified to participate at the competition after a 2-1 aggregate win over Congo-Brazzaville in the final round of qualifiers concluded earlier this month. Other participants host Senegal, Algeria, Egypt, Tunisia, Mali, Zambia, and South Africa. The championship will help pick Africa's 3 representatives at the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And now the interim coach of Tanzania, Charles Kwasa, has invited players from Mazembe, South Africa's PSL, and a League 2 player in the English 4th tier as part of his preparation for the 2017 African Cup of Nations qualifier against Nigeria on September 5. The team spokesman, Boniface Wambura, says Kwasa has confirmed 29 home-based players for a 1-week home camp, which opened on August 9. Wambura added that the team will head out for a 10-day training camp in Turkey, where they will be joined by some overseas-based players. Banawa Samata and Thomas Uluwengu of DR Congo's Vazembe, Miresho, and Gaza of South Africa's Free State, Hassan Sembe, also of Santos FC of South Africa, and Adi Yusuf of Mansfield Town in the English League 2 were all called up for the camp according to the Tanzania Football Federation. And now Manchester United are considering a fresh approach from West Ham for Javier Hernandez, as West Ham are willing to offer around £12 million for the Mexico international. United wants to sign Barcelona's Pedro this week before ratifying any deal for Hernandez, who was an unused substitute at the weekend and are keen to bring forward in first, however, before any move to West Ham comes off. Hernandez spent last season on loan at Real Madrid and arrived back from the Bernabeu after the Spanish giants decided not to exercise an option to make the deal permanent. And now Real Madrid duo Cristiano Ronaldo and Sergio Ramos are expected to return to full training on Tuesday after recovering from the minor injury problems, as Ramos, who is yet to sign a new contract at the Santiago Bernabeu following interest from Manchester United, meets Sunday's friendly at Valerenga due to a knock he suffered against Bayern Munich in last week's Audi Cup. The defender and attacker have been plagued by injury problems during the summer, but will be fit for the start of the new league season. Ronaldo, meanwhile, picked up a back problem prior to the pre-season tournament in Germany, thus ruling him out of the subsequent trip to Norway. However, neither player was viewed as a doubt for the start of Real domestic campaign against Sporting Gijón on August 23, and both are now set to join up with their teammates for training on Tuesday, having worked on their fitness at Ciudad Real Madrid, as the pair could now feature in the Santiago Bernabeu Trophy against Galatasaray next Tuesday. And our Jurgen Klopp's agent has revealed that the former Borussia Dortmund coach has turned down the chance to become Marseille's new head coach, as the French outfit are looking for a new boss following the shock resignation of Marcelo Bielsa after their League One opener at the weekend, and they had earmarked Klopp as the ideal replacement. The former Borussia Dortmund boss has rejected an offer from the League One outfit, as he feels that the time is not right yet to return to coaching. However, the 48-year-old who parted company with Dortmund at the end of last season, having spent 7 years in charge of Signal Iduna Park, winning 2 Bundesliga titles and 1 DFB Pokal, as well as leading Dortmund to the 2012-2013 Champions League final, which they lost to Bayern Munich, says he is not interested in returning to coaching just yet. You've been watching CoreTV Primetime News. Just before we go, a recap of our major headline. We told you that no fewer than 47 people, mostly traders, were killed, with several others sustaining injuries when terrorists detonate bomb at Sabongari Community Market of Damvua local government area of Borno State. We also reported that the presidency has affirmed that the trial of persons found to have stolen public funds will begin in a matter of weeks. Finally tonight, the World Health Organization is convinced that Nigeria is closer to being polio-free. Well, that's it tonight on our Primetime News. Many thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. Have a good night rest.